What is going on, everybody? The Xbox 2 podcast is now live. Sorry to keep everybody waiting. Sorry to do this podcast on Friday. I could have sworn last week we tried to make sure we were going to do it from Thursdays from now on, but we didn't even last 1 week, and that is because of my esteemed co-host, hashtag blame Jez Corden of Windows Central. Once again.
Yeah. I'm sorry, man. I wasn't feeling so good yesterday, so I thought I can either have a podcast where I'm not feeling so good or come back strong the next day. And I made my choice, and I have no regrets.
No
regrets. This is a problem podcasting live. Most people pre-record their podcast and just put it on SoundCloud and stuff like that. Like, not many people do live podcasts for free.
Yeah. I mean, podcasting live is a interesting kind of conundrum because, well, it's live and you can't really edit out your mistakes. What if you say something you don't mean to say? It's there for everybody to hear. You know?
Yeah. You mean like James Gunn?
Yeah, like James Gunn, poor guy. I mean, I don't know what it'd be like if somebody went through and looked at the last 10 years of my tweets 10 years ago. I don't even think I was on Twitter 10 years ago, to be quite frank. You know? And I'm sure...
I wasn't either. I think I'm about 5 years, mate. No, not even that. Maybe 4 years, 4 or 5 years max.
It's just make sure you are very conscious of what you're putting on social media, just in case you make it big one day and someone holds a vendetta and wants an axe to grind. So when they go back and look at what you tweeted, they don't have any ammo. So maybe we all should just tweet out like cat pictures and cat gifs like you do.
Yeah, well, that's why I do it, man. I tweet out the most asinine stuff so no one can ever take it seriously. Put it that way.
That's right. We have a good show lined up today. I know the last couple weeks have been slow. Oh God, so slow. Not much to talk about. No news. But this week was actually pretty jam-packed with a lot of stuff. Some of it not so good. Like Crackdown 3 being on its last delay, Eurogamer really kind of just shoveling more dirt on the Crackdown 3's grave. But we'll talk about that. Jez, I know you are connected when it comes to Crackdown 3. We'll see if you have any more information to shed on it. Because, man, I swear, I don't think ever since Crackdown 3 has been announced, I don't think anybody said one kind word about the game. It's always been so negative.
I have.
Yeah.
I like the black hole gun.
So we'll talk about that. Also, apparently no Quantum Break in Alan Wake 2, unfortunately. We'll talk about that because that kind of like delves into the whole idea of Microsoft and Xbox looking to buy more studios, especially of the AA variety. There was an interview with Matt Boutte. Where he was, basically said that they're still looking at acquiring studios. And then, of course, you hear news about, hey, Microsoft ain't doing Quantum Break 2 and Remedy and Alan Wake 2, and you're like, what? Like, how does... Anyways, we'll talk about that down the road. Xbox Gamescom plan. They finally released information about what we can expect at Gamescom. And you know what? For a few days there, or not for a few days, for a few hours... Major Nelson had everybody in a tizzy. Jazz, did you see that? Everybody was like, because he said new Xbox hardware, and people just ran with it, and people were like, are we getting Xbox 2? Is it Xbox Scarlet? What's going on? New system? Yes! But no, apparently not. Right?
Yeah, I saw some interesting YouTube clickbait.
Oh, yeah. It's always interesting YouTube clickbait. So we'll talk about that. And whatever else just slipped off the top of my mind. I'm sure I have more stuff written down here. But before we get into all those juicy topics, I just want to thank everybody for, hanging out with us on a Friday. I know this isn't the usual day. Thank you guys who are here live on YouTube. And if you're watching later on, Google Play or iTunes or SoundCloud, we appreciate everybody who checks out the podcast. Thank you for being a part of the Xbox 2 experience. And, as we always do, let's get into what we've been playing, because it wouldn't be a games podcast without talking about games. Although some people actually get away with doing that when they don't talk about games. Do they play any games? I don't know. Anyways,
Was that a sub tweet, but on a podcast, a subcast? Who
I
are
don't
you
know.
subcasting, man?
I prefer to at least hear from my host that I'm listening to if they actually play games. You know
That
what I
is
mean?
important. That if you're writing about games or YouTubing about games, playing games is probably important. I'm no expert, Rand.
Yeah,
I
they're
think
very, very important. Very important. So we always start with you. What have you been playing? Let me guess. Is it Monster Hunter? Is it The Division? Is
I
it
haven't played the Division this week. Actually, did I? I don't. Oh, actually, I don't know. I don't think I did, because my Division buddy has gone to Japan on vacation for a few weeks. Shout out to Roby. So I haven't played the Division this week, but I did get back into Monster Hunter because there's a new summer event, and there's a big new monster from Final Fantasy XIV Realm Reborn going to be in the game in a couple of weeks. So I've been preparing for that. What else have I been playing? I've been playing Moonlighter religiously, addictively. I think we talked about that last week.
did and have you gotten any farther? So explain
Yeah.
Moonlighter for the people that don't know. This is a game where like during the day you actually man a shop and you sell the items that you during the
Yeah.
night pick up in dungeons. So you have like it's like two different kind of games, right?
Yeah,
Sort of?
it's kind of like it's a throwback to classic Zelda. Like in the very first scene in the game, there is like a quote from Zelda in it, like it's dangerous to go alone, take this or whatever. And but you don't play as a hero in this roguelite dungeon crawler. You play as a shopkeeper merchant who dungeon crawls to get goods for his shop. And the progression system is you level up your gear and your items and craft new weapons and stuff. But the progression system really is upgrading your shop, making it bigger, doing all that sort of stuff. It's a very simplistic sort of game. I think that's why I like it at the minute, because like when I've like been editing articles and working all day, I just want to do some mindless smashing of monsters. And Moonlighter really scratches that itch for me. It's a really beautiful game and it's pretty cheap. And if you just like mindless Zelda style RPG action RPG combat classic Zelda, give it a look. It's pretty cheap. I think it's like $15. It's well worth it. It's from the publisher who made This War of Mine, which is also one of my favorite Xbox games. So they're a cool dev. They also released a cool publisher. They released Frostpunk this year as well, which I talked about on previous podcast. 11-Bit Studios, the publisher's called. Indie publisher, very cool. But other than Moonlight around, I've been playing World of Warcraft again a bit. Because
why?
The World of Warcraft next expansion comes out in a few weeks, Battle for Azeroth. So I've been, enjoying the pre-patch content. They've like updated all the old PS1 graphics to sort of PS2 graphics now. So I've been playing that a bit with my brother. Again, just sort of mindless grinding. I like a lot of mindless games lately because I don't like thinking after I've been working for so long. And also, Rand, I bought a new console.
Wait, what? Did you finally got a PlayStation 4 to play God of War, Beard of War?
No.
Yes,
No.
Wait. Did you get a Nintendo Switch to play?
No.
What?
I didn't.
What'd you get?
I bought a Nintendo 2DS XL Pokemon edition.
What? Isn't that system like 10 years old?
No, it came out in November. The Pokemon edition did.
Oh, the Pokemon edition.
The 2DS XL is like, it's relatively new, I think. It's basically a super cheap 3DS. But I was looking at the Switch and I was looking at the PlayStation and I was thinking to myself, I really want a PlayStation, but I don't really have space in my life for it. And I want to get a PlayStation maybe when I move out and I'm not living in one room. And I was looking at the Switch and I thought, I do want a portable console for traveling, but the Switch doesn't have any legacy Nintendo games, which I kind of really value when it comes to Nintendo systems and backwards compatibility. So I looked at the Nintendo 2DS XL. It's much cheaper than the Switch. It's got better battery life than the Switch. It's got way more games than the Switch. And it's got like all the virtual console stuff, like classic Pokemon. So that's what I went with, man. And I have no regrets.
No regrets.
I've been playing Pokemon Blue like a champ. I just defeated Misty again for the millionth time, and caught Pikachu round.
Ooh,
Caught a
nice.
Pikachu, and I got Geodude.
I've never played a Pokemon game, so all these names are just...
You've never played a Pokemon game?
Never. I don't care. Like, this is when people are shocked. People are shocked when I say that I don't care about Nintendo or any of Nintendo's games, and that extends from Mario to Zelda to Pokemon.
What did you play as a kid?
I played an NES as a kid, but like I immediately went from an NES to a Sega, a Genesis, and a Sega CD and a 32X, and a PlayStation.
So I was lucky because I have quite a few siblings, and we always in my house we always ended up with every console. So like if I got a Mega Drive, my brother might have got a SNES, or if I got a PlayStation, he ended up with a Dreamcast or a GameCube or whatever. So we always used to end up with everything eventually. So I was kind of lucky that even though I was more of a Mega Drive kid, a Genesis kid, but I also got exposed to the Nintendo games as well, and I got so many like fond memories of that stuff. But they were so expensive in the UK, man. I remember Majora's Mask was like £60 or something to buy in the UK, which was insane as a kid. Like I'd say to my mom, I want Majora's Mask for my birthday, and she'd be like, there's no way you're having a game that's £60. And it's almost become standard now, but it's like back then Nintendo games were so much more expensive for some reason. I don't know if it was just the shop I was in getting ripped off or whatever. Someone will probably correct me in the chat, but I remember Nintendo stuff being really expensive.
No, it was. Dude, it was.
When I was at school, Pokemon was just inescapable. You couldn't escape it, man. Everyone at school had a Game Boy, and they only had a Game Boy for Pokemon. Everyone, with their little.
So basically, what you're saying is that Fortnite is now the Pokemon of yesteryear.
Fortnite doesn't touch Pokemon, man. Pokemon is
I don't know, like all the kids in high school and they're all on their phones playing Fortnite.
We'll talk about that. If Fortnite is still as big as it is now in 10 years, we'll talk about that. But Pokemon is like something else. It's a phenomenon that keeps going and going and going. Pokemon's like World of Warcraft, man.
Okay.
Inevitable.
Fine.
It's a staple of gaming.
So is that it? Is that all you've been playing? Like 2DS stuff and
yeah, pretty much. It's been a busy week this week. Like sometimes when I've been sitting down, I've been like, I want to finish Vampire, I want to finish Nier Automata, and then I just go and lie in bed and play Pokemon. Because I want to, like, when I play Vampire and Nier, I want to actually think about it and pay attention to it and get sucked in, but just so tired, man.
Well,
it's been a hard week.
I was part of gaming history.
Oh.
Yeah. So
first gamer to complete every Bobby game?
No.
Oh.
I was there for when a game came out and immediately crashed and burned.
Oh.
And that's for the Culling 2. So I actually played that game.
Oh, you did?
Yes, I actually played the Culling 2. I have a video up on the channel. Seriously, like, I've always wanted to be a part of history in some way, and I am. Like,
hey, you're the man with the million at E3.
Yeah, I mean, but still, like, even then, I was like maybe the 5th person to hit 1 million, which is, it's great. It's part of history, but have you ever played a game that came out one week and was being pulled from stores the following week? Come on, this is right up there with, like, Walking on the Moon. Come on, Jez. You're supposed to laugh at that. It's supposed to be a joke.
I would, man. But I'm also just kind of depressed by the whole Culling situation. Did you watch that video?
Yeah, it's very depressing. So what happened was they stopped development on the Culling, which was, you could argue, one of the very first Battle Royale games. It was very niche. It had its fans, but it wasn't like PUBG or Fortnite. So they stopped development of it. It was an Xbox game preview, came out of it, and they're like, we're done making it, blah, 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 blah. They move on, and then suddenly they post a picture on Twitter, and the next day there's a trailer for the Culling 2, and then, like, the next day the game's out. And it's literally just like PUBG and H1. Nothing that, like, made Culling unique is in the game, like the focus on the melee combat, right? And it immediately proceeded to just crater. on Steam, within like 2 hours, there was one person playing it. On Xbox, when I was playing it, I could get into games of 10 people. At most, a game of with 20 people. This is a game that's supposed to have 50 people in a lobby. And suddenly, like 2 days later after that, the devs are like, yeah, we made a mistake. We're going to refund everybody's money who bought the game. We're going to be pulling the game from every single store. And then we're going to be going back and doing development on the culling and making that free to play. And I'm just like, I've never seen this before, ever. Like, yeah, people talk about Lawbreakers and how that one kind of crashed and burned. But still, Lawbreakers had a player base for at least, I don't know, a few weeks. Like, the Culling's color base was gone within 10 minutes. And we witnessed history. This probably will never be repeated. A game coming out and failing so spectacularly. And, I mean, Jez, I played the game, and it's a disaster. It's a complete disaster.
I don't know anything about the Culling 2. I played the original Culling a bit. And I didn't play it much because I was like, this is really clunky. I'll wait for it to like get a bit more polished before I put more into it. But by the time I was gonna go back to it, they killed it, and then we got the Culling 2. Tell us about the Culling 2, man. What is so bad about it, or what was so bad about it?
I mean, everything is bad about it. It looks like a PlayStation 2 game. The user interface is confusing and unintuitive. It's just basically. Like, the Culling was unique, right? It was a very unique game. It was a 12-person battle royale with heavy focus on melee. And that's what people liked about it. The Culling 2 was basically them copying PUBG. It's literally just a copy of PUBG with some H1 thrown in there. And it's not what anybody wanted, because why would you play this game when you have PUBG to play or Fortnite or anything else? Like, it does nothing unique. It's just a disaster. Like, it doesn't feel good to shoot, doesn't feel good to loot. I played like 5 games and I still couldn't like really figure out like how the whole inventory system worked. And like, and the fact that you were playing this huge battle royale game on this pretty big map, and there only being 10 people in a match, which means you won't see anybody until the final circle. Couple that with the fact that since there's not enough people to start a game, you sit in a lobby for 10 minutes before it even starts. Like, we're talking like disaster, epic disaster, like.
Why do so many devs, well, I say so many, but it seems to be becoming like a little small bit of a trend where some devs just like sort of panic and then hard pivot to Battle Royale.
I don't know, because they feel it's like Battle Royale's the hot thing right now. I mean, we saw...
It's worked for some, right? Like, I mean, I know H1Z1 was always Battle Royale, but they sort of doubled down and they took some inspiration from the big heavy hitters, and they've sort of done it really well now. And then you've got like Realm Royale, which has sort of been doing pretty well as well in its own right in early access. And there are a bunch of success stories from companies that did just suddenly come out in early access with Battle Royale games, but it just feels like there's only so much room in the market for these kind of games. And if your game is either too much like Fortnite or PUBG, but not as good, it's going to fail. Or if it's like if it's like tries to be like them and it's not like, it doesn't do anything new, then it's going to fail. So I don't know, man.
Well, that kind of goes into 343 had an employee on a Mixer stream said that the only BR they're interested in is the battle rifle. Because they know, considering how long it takes to make a Halo game, and that Halo Infinite is maybe 2 years away at this point in 2020. There's no point in chasing that trend, because the trend could be over by 2020.
True.
So it's just.
Do you think it is a trend? Do you think it's not here to stay?
No, I think Fortnite is here to stay, and I think Battle Royale will be a part. I think Battle Royale will be a part, like a mode in games in the future.
You don't think PUBG is here to stay?
No, I think PUBG is here to stay. I think it's on the downward decline. I think it's seen its peak, but like every single, I don't know, it seems like every single week you have a new Battle Royale game. Like, one just launched in early access called Islands of the Nine. It's coming to Xbox Game Preview soon or whatever. But it just seems like in the game being just Battle Royale is probably a fad that will go away. But battle royale as a mode, as part of future games, is something that could essentially, be there. Like I expect, Call of Duty to always kind of have a battle royale mode, and Battlefield, and maybe some of the bigger first-person shooters or what have you. But I don't know. Like it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to call. But like when you have games like The Culling 2 coming out, and you have stuff like Radical Heights, and I'm sure there's going to be other ones come out, and then immediately like, hey, we're here, we're battle royale, and then nobody cares. There may only be room for 2 or 3 or potentially 4 battle royale games, and everything else is just going to get destroyed. So I played that, and I want my hour back. But either way, I wanted to be a part of history, and I was. What else did I play? I played Earthfall as well, and
I streamed Earthfall and had the biggest stream I've ever had in my life last Friday.
What, 2 people?
Almost 1,000.
Oh, whoa! 1,000 people watching you play a mediocre game, huh?
I don't think it's mediocre.
Oh, it is. It is about as average as you could get. If I
don't think it's groundbreaking, but man, it's like it made me realize that I miss Left 4 Dead, and sure I could go back and play Left 4 Dead, but it was like an interesting fresh take on that whole thing. Like it wasn't completely the same as Left 4 Dead. There's like turrets you can set up.
It's completely the same as Left 4 Dead, Jack.
There's no barricading in Left 4 Dead.
It's the same type of level structure. Is the same type of.
You go backwards. No. No, you see, it's not, because in Left 4 Dead, the levels are mostly linear, and you go and the whole point is to rush to the end. But in Earthfall, there's like a combination of linear, like horde mode levels and stuff like that.
Well, great! Oh my God, 10 years between games, and that's all they came up with. Yeah.
Well, dude, it's like a $20 game. What do you want?
No, it's a $30 game.
Oh, okay, sorry. It's not a full price game.
Look. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of this game. It's about as mediocre as it comes. I put up my review. I was so bored with the game. I was so bored, Jez.
I really enjoyed it.
Like,
admittedly, I probably won't play it again.
Of course you won't.
But
of course you won't.
But for the time that I did have with it, full play co-op on Mixer with friends, it was a blast. It's a good stream game, and it has Mixer integration as well, which I suppose enhances that to some degree. It's fun. It's fun playing on Mixer when like there's people watching your stream screwing with it. That's a fun aspect to the game, and I admit that it's not doing anything special, but like sometimes I just want to shoot things with my friends.
No, I mean I get that. It's just that I wanted to like the game a lot. Like I'm a big fan of Left 4 Dead. I just played Warhammer Vermintide 2, which is amazing and is on Xbox Game Pass and is so much better than Earthfall in every way. But at the time I didn't know that. I'm like, okay, I'll check out Earthfall because the idea of Left 4 Dead with aliens is awesome, right? But like, I don't know. It doesn't. Like it just everything about the game was just played it too safe. It was too mediocre. Like I didn't feel like the weapons were special enough, and the feedback you got while actually using the weapons was actually pretty bad. Like the aliens just kind of limp over and die. In Warhammer, you're cutting heads off and you're slicing bodies in half, and there's like a weight behind it. But like I had a shotgun in this game, and it's just like it felt like I was just like shooting BB bullets at them because the
no. I totally agree with that. It's like the guns need work, definitely. Yeah. The sounds aren't good. The sense of impact isn't good. But like when it comes to like those kind of games, I don't think it's any debate that Warhammer Vermintide 2 is the better game.
Yes, it is, and I think it was dumb for Earthfall to launch the same week that game launched. Like, I don't know, maybe. Like, you have all these people wanting a Left 4 Dead type game, and 2 of them come out the same week, and one of them on Xbox Game Pass. I mean, granted, it's also on PlayStation and PC, but it's just like, maybe you could have picked a better week. Either way.
But seriously, they had a lot of interest in that game when we were playing it. I was like, God, why is there 900 people there watching me play this game?
There was a lot of interest, when I posted the review. So, Jez likes the game. He thinks it's fun, but he's never going to play it again. I thought it was mediocre. It was boring, bland. I would like to play
when it comes to those kind of games. I I would rather play Vermintide or Deep Rock Galactic, you know. But I still thought it was fun, you know. But it's Warhammer Vermintide's in Game Pass, so it's pretty much a no-brainer, which you get. At the end of the day, it's a better game, and it's in Game Pass. So what you gonna do? I don't know. RDK, mate. I mean, I'm having a quick look at Earthfall on Mixer, and it's not even there. It's gone.
Gone, because nobody cares anymore about it.
Gone. Rip in peace.
Yep. So that's pretty much what I also played the Spectrum Retreat, which I put up a video for. I actually really like that game. It's kind of it's a puzzle game in the vein of Portal or Cube. So if you like those first-person puzzle games, this one like involves you like taking colors and using them to get through colored doors and stuff. And it has a pretty interesting story for the most part on top of it. You're like stuck in this hotel, and there's like an android. There's an android crew that services you, and you get contacted by someone that's like, you're being held here against your will, and you're like, oh no! And then you got to solve puzzles to escape. So yeah, check that out if you like puzzle games like me, because I actually kind of do. But yeah, let's get into the topics here, and I want to first talk about Crackdown. Hopefully for the last time until we play this game in February 22nd, 2019. Because frankly, I don't know, man. Like for a game that's been delayed and people crap on all the time, it's still people talk about this game mainly because the media talks about it a lot.
Yeah, the media likes a bit of negativity.
Well, okay, but would you agree with me that there's some interesting story? There obviously has to be some interesting backstory about why Crackdown 3 is in the position it's in, right?
Every game that gets delayed has some kind of interesting backstory.
Well, of course. So, like,
Final Fantasy 15 was delayed for how long?
A long time. 10 years.
How long?
Last Guardian was delayed a long time.
Those games weren't in the media and all controversial, and I wonder why.
No, the people were giving Sony shit for delaying Last Guardian as much as it was delayed.
I don't think so.
Yeah, maybe not as much as Crackdown, but trust me, it was there. But there is this like story because clearly Microsoft, something's wrong with the game or something interesting happened behind the scenes. So Eurogamer put out an article talking about how Crackdown's in its tough spot, right? Talking about how the cloud demo that you saw at Gamescom 2015 was basically nothing but smoke and mirrors and was just a demo for what they wanted to do, but was never actually part of the game.
Lies.
I'm just saying what Eurogamer's article says. So they're saying that was basically a demo, wasn't intended for the game. That Duncan, whoever. What was it? What's the dude's name, Jez? I'm kind of blanking here.
Who are you talking about?
The guy who did Crackdown 1, Duncan Jones, right? Yeah. He was never really like part of the development. He was just a consultant at CloudGen to help get the that like cloud destruction up, and eventually his company got bought. But nobody really knew who was working on the title, but it was Sumo Digital, but they were never really talked about. And then they talk in the article, they also talk about how this is its last delay. It's last delay, meaning that like, you know, it's going to get canceled if it needs to get delayed again, and how they heard from the UK development scene, because I guess there's like 3 UK developers on the title, that the game was almost canceled at one point. All this stuff, like, and it's all pretty much interesting. I find it fascinating because I like reading behind the scenes stuff about video games, especially ones that are having problems. But then me and you were talking about this in DMs, and you don't necessarily agree with everything in the article, right?
I haven't read the article.
For a games journalist, you sure as hell don't read your peers' work.
Dude, I don't like reading, okay? Look, man, I don't like reading.
Okay.
Shut up. I don't read the game sites. I don't.
Dave Jones, not Duncan Jones. Duncan Jones directed Moon, says Plop. Okay, Dave Jones. There we go.
I like getting my information firsthand.
Right? Okay, so tell me about Crackdown. Tell me what do you know about it? Like, is it in big trouble? I mean, look, because Eurogamer is saying the biggest problem is the multiplayer destruction. Like that, it never worked. It was never supposed to be in the game, or at least that version of it. It's in the game now is Wrecking Zone, which is like you and 10 players fight to destroy each other's tower, but it's not that demo that was shown, and it's a bunch of smoke and mirrors, but you heard differently or something, right?
I've heard differently, and I can corroborate this with the fact that there's still voice work being done. You don't need voice work for the multiplayer. There's still scripts being written and stuff like that as recently as last month. So I know for a fact, 100% fact, that there's still work being done on the single player. So it's not a case of the multiplayer is holding everything back and the single player is done. That's just not true. And you can look up like what the voice actors have been doing to see what they've been up to and stuff like that. There's still voice recording sessions being done for the single player. So I also know that the demonstration we were given at Gamescom 2015, I want to say, that was always intended to be in the game. It was not a tech demo to show what could happen. Why would they do that? Why would they show us in-engine? It wasn't pre-rendered. They were playing the game. We were playing the game. Windows Central was playing the cloud destruction stuff behind closed doors at Gamescom 2015 or 2016. I can't remember which one. There's an article on Windows Central about it. And it worked. However, there's a caveat here. It was in closed network conditions. It was the cloud destruction processing wasn't coming from the internet. I now know. It was coming from a local server in the local network. So there was very low latency when it comes to the processing. But they demonstrated all the different servers lighting up every time it needed a new server onboarded. There was a little green square with like a little latency bar popping up. Obviously, that wouldn't be in the game. They were just saying like, here's 16 extra servers providing information for this physics you're seeing. And it worked. However, again, closed network conditions. I've heard from a couple of people who work on the team that the cloud destruction stuff does work. However, again, that some of the issues are to do with getting it to work reliably over sort of average internet speeds. So like if you've got like a really good internet, fine. But like it drops, from what I understand, it drops resolution on the particles, and the bits of building lose resolution based on how good your internet speed is, or lose particles or something. And so if your internet speed's bad, it looks really bad, and it doesn't look anywhere near as good as it does in the closed network scenario, which is what we saw in the videos, presumably. So I think a lot of the work being done on the multiplayer is to reduce that latency issue at the moment, if they bother shipping it at all. But the concept behind it works, and I think as part of it was probably the assumption that maybe global internet speeds will be better in 4 years or whatever, or however long it's been. But it's not really the case, is it? Internet speeds haven't really improved that much on average, especially like in Microsoft's core markets. So I don't know, man. I think the cloud stuff is a problem, but it's also the single player stuff they wanted to improve as well, and just the general feel of the game. I've heard.
Well, yeah, because
like improving the gunplay and stuff like that.
And in that article, Phil's actually quoted, because I think they interviewed him and he said that the delay basically is his fault, because he said that he said to somebody earlier this year that they had a date, and he had the date in his mind, and so did the devs. But then he sat down to play test Crackdown 3, and it didn't feel right. So he wanted to
that's what I heard.
Right, right. But here's my worry, and this is Phil loves Crackdown, right? It's one of his favorite franchises, and the fact that he says the game didn't feel right worries me, because this isn't a game that's 1 year in development. This is a game that's been in development for 4 years now, and it still doesn't feel right. That does worry me to a little bit here. That like 4 years later, the game still doesn't feel like Crackdown to a certain degree. I'm all fine giving the game as many delays as you want to give it to make it better, because it's obviously delaying a game is better than canceling it or releasing some broken game. But I don't know. I'm starting to think Microsoft just partnered with the wrong developer on this one. Like I'm starting to think Sumo Digital wasn't the right developer to make Crackdown, and the whole cloud destruction thing was maybe something that they thought they could do that ended up not being able to do. Like things didn't pan out the way they thought they would pan out.
I think that's certainly, I mean, at least when it comes to the cloud destruction stuff, I think they thought that their ability to deliver processing over the cloud would have been in a better place in 2018 or 2017 than it has been. And there just hasn't been that much investment in domestic internet infrastructure. A lot of Microsoft's pie in the sky plans about console quality game streaming, it depends on so much on the quality of your local ISPs and stuff like that. Cloud processing is the future. It's just being bottlenecked at the minute by domestic ISPs. Microsoft has this technology and it works, but only when the internet speed's fast enough or the bandwidth's good enough.
See, but it's all about also managing expectations for a game. The first time that you hear anything about Crackdown, you see this amazing demo that Dave Jones was playing, right? Destruction that we've never seen in a multiplayer level. We've seen it in like single player with Red Faction Guerrilla. And you start to think like, oh my God, like this could be a revolution in multiplayer. Can you imagine if everything was destructible like it was in that demo? So people start thinking and start fantasizing about what Crackdown 3 is going to be like. And then every year that passes and you don't hear anything about the game. And then the times you actually do hear something about the game and see something about it, it's about the single player. But all the thing people have been interested in is the multiplayer destruction that you put out there from the very beginning, but you never show it off. And then you skip E3 this year and don't show anything again. What are people supposed to think? Like they've never publicly demoed the cloud destruction. And usually you want to demo the best part of the game. And if they're holding that stuff back, then it can't be the best part of the game, which leads us to be like, were they misleading us back in 2015 when they showed this stuff off? I don't know. Like
I think they misled themselves. They clearly thought we can pull this off without closed network conditions, because like theoretically it does work. I've seen it, but again, you don't closed network conditions. The speed's way better. So I think like it's probably gonna look worse than we expect, and I think Microsoft should own up to that fact. If it's gonna look worse than they showed off to us and to the public, they need to own up as soon as possible, because it's just gonna get worse as time goes by.
Right. I mean, they keep on. Like, I think when this game does come out, because as far as I understand, it's not going to be at Gamescom. They haven't said anything about it. So there may not be a point where I actually see the destruction. I think when it comes out, it's just going to land with the wet fart. Right? It's going to come out. It's going to be buried by Anthem and all these other games. The multiplayer destruction is just going to kind of be a watered-down version of what they were aiming for. And it's going to be Crackdown. It's going to be like Crackdown 2. And, they talk about wanting to delay it to make it better, to make it like on par with like Gears of War and like Halo and stuff, which is fine and dandy, but like I don't see that. Gears of War and Halo and even Forza games get tons of support, tons of advertisements. I mean, every single week on Mixer they're doing like a new Forza Horizon stream, all leading up to release. Like this is stuff that Microsoft does for their huge franchises that they haven't done for Crackdown. Crackdown's in the shadows. Nobody knows anything about Crackdown. They want it to be this huge thing, but it's just never going to be. They screwed up by basically making Crackdown 2. You heard the story about Crackdown 2, right? They gave the developer 1 year and a small budget to make it, and then they regretted it ever since because it basically sunk the franchise. So, I don't know. I think Crackdown 3 is going to come out. It's going to be overshadowed by other games. It's going to... I DM'd you this. I'm like, it's dead on arrival for review-wise. The game's going to get between a 60 and a 70. And
I think it's gonna do fine because of Game Pass.
I
But
mean,
I don't. It's not going to light the
sure,
world on fire.
probably. I mean, Game Pass seems like it's going to save a lot of these games, which maybe that's the whole idea. And maybe Microsoft wants to bury Crackdown. Who knows? Maybe at this point they're like, get it out the door. We don't care if it's coming out against Anthem and Metro. We need a game for Game Pass. Who knows? It's just, I don't know. It's just disappointing that to see a game that people really wanted back when they announced this in 2014 just end up with all these problems and all these kind of false promises, And I got caught up in the hype. I saw that demo and I'm like, holy crap! Imagine this, and it looks like it's not going to be the same thing. I don't know, man. I'm just a little disappointed. I don't really have faith in. At this point, I don't care about Crackdown. I don't really want to even talk about it until the game comes out. At this point,
that's fair enough. I mean, it happens when plans go wrong, and the whole marketing scenarios get derailed and expectations get inflated, and you get these hit pieces where small details from bitter ex developers come out and paint a dark picture. But I don't know, it might be good, but I don't expect it to set the world on fire.
I don't think so either. I think it's just gonna. And I just remember this is one of those games that Xbox fans touted crazily. Oh my god, the cloud! Remember back when Microsoft was really about the cloud because they lost on the power aspect, and I kind of thought that this kind of fed into that. This was something they had over PlayStation, but I don't know, man. I'm over Crackdown 3, but you know what? I'm not over the fact that we're not going to get Alan Wake 2 or Quantum Break 2, Jez.
Yeah.
I read there
was some bad news, wasn't there, this week? I was pretty annoyed about that.
I saw your article and I liked the headline. Now
wasn't
it was good because we're in this situation here where clearly the CEO of Microsoft really believes in gaming. I mean, we'll get into this soon, but Satya basically said during the investors call yesterday that they are investing aggressively in gaming content, community, and cloud services. So he fully believes in gaming as a pillar of Microsoft in the future, right? And obviously we know that Microsoft is very keen on acquiring content and content makers, hence buying 5 brand new studios, all with the idea of gearing up for next generation and having content, because content is king. Let's be honest here. Content is king. It always has been and always will be.
Yep.
But there's one thing that people always kind of question. It's you had a developer that you had an exclusive relationship with for years in Remedy. They made an Alan Wake game for you. I loved it. Didn't really set the world on fire. Fine enough. I mean, I think it eventually sold 4.5 million copies, which is pretty good. They decided to go with Quantum Break. Didn't set the world on fire again. 77 on Metacritic. It doesn't sound like it sold very well. And now they're off making a multi-platform game, Control. But if you listen to the guy talk, and I'm going to plug your article here because you had the interview and the quote, so go check out Jez's stuff on Windows Central.
Well, it wasn't. It was.
I know it wasn't yours. I know it wasn't yours, but still, I
copy and pasted the quote.
Yeah, I mean, because people do that to you all the time.
But I sourced them.
I know.
People don't source me.
But I'm just saying, you did it the right way. So basically, he just said that Microsoft has no plans on taking any of those franchises further. And which understandably for Quantum Break, I get Microsoft owns the IP for that. They would have all to say, whatever. And clearly, there's no plans on taking that game further based on sales and the fact that Remedy's working on Control. You would figure. I mean, Remedy basically repurposed Quantum Break 2 and turned it in Control, judging from the gameplay of that game, right? But Alan Wake's a little bit different story here because I always thought that was up to Remedy. And it's true, Remedy does own the IP, but then Game Industry Biz also says that Microsoft holds the publishing rights to Alan Wake, which was something I didn't really think was true.
That's as good as owning the IP, really. Because if they don't want to publish it, then Remedy can't make it.
I know, but isn't that that's weird to me. I understand the rumor always was that Remedy and Microsoft had a 3-game deal. And for Alan Wake, that was. So they did the first Alan Wake. They did the Alan Wake Xbox Live Arcade game, which was American Nightmare. And then it was supposed to be Alan Wake 2, but they didn't make it. In fact, if you recall, there's interviews and stuff I remember reading. When Remedy sat down with Microsoft to talk about what game they wanted to make for the launch of the next-gen Xbox, they pitched them Alan Wake 2. Sam Lake and everybody there pitched them Alan Wake 2, and Microsoft declined. And they wanted Quantum Break. They wanted the whole TV aspect, which was going to be a huge focus of the new system. And Remedy also liked that idea because they were moving in that direction. And they came up with Quantum Break. So Microsoft's already passed on Alan Wake 2 years ago. And now it comes out that they don't want to, do anything further with Quantum Break. And you have some fans like scratching their head. Because here's Microsoft saying that they're committing to first party, buying all these studios, getting all these games and stuff. But here are these cult classics in their IP that they own, but they don't want to do anything with. Do you have anything that you want to add to this, Jez? Because, I know
I've kind of just sort of given up expecting Quantum Break and Alan Wake to come back. Like I was told, someone from the someone who had attended the Xbox MVP Summit a few months ago had said that they heard someone else say that Quantum Break wasn't dead as a franchise, and I was like kind of excited at the idea that Microsoft was at least exploring the idea of bringing it back. But I don't know if Remedy's just using that kind of language to try and force the issue, and try and rile up the fans and sort of draw attention to the franchise and stuff. But what frustrates me is that Alan Wake was a great game and it was left unresolved. Quantum Break could have been I personally love Quantum Break, but I understand why a lot of people didn't. But I think it could have had broader appeal if with just a few tweaks, like easy tweaks, really. And it's a shame that they're not going to explore that franchise anymore either, because that pretty much ends with a lot of unresolved questions as well. And there's nothing that annoys me more when a franchise just gets dropped without being resolved properly.
Yeah, I hate that as well.
Mass Effect Andromeda, the biggest source of my frustration with EA is their handling of Mass Effect Andromeda. Any other dev, like Bethesda doubled down on Prey, released a really good DLC for it in Moon Crash, and fair play to them. Prey didn't set the world on fire, but they doubled down on it and they've updated it and they brought Xbox One X support to it and all this sort of stuff to try and improve it. It's not a multiplayer game. It doesn't have microtransactions. There's not a huge amount of money in it for them, but it nurtures the fan base and stuff like that. Whereas EA, they took Mass Effect Andromeda, they gave you this ending that was pretty unsatisfying and didn't answer a whole lot of questions, and they were like, oh, it only made several $100 million instead of several more $100 millions. Let's just drop the whole game and pretend it never happened.
It's a business, But
now they've earned bad will from that, though.
No, of course, yes, of course.
They've tarnished themselves again. They've tarnished BioWare's name, even though it wasn't the BioWare's A team that made it. They've tarnished the BioWare name. Mass Effect fan base are some of the most passionate fans in gaming. They pretty much spat on them, so you could estimate that there's some negative financial impact there. EA probably aren't going to measure that, but clearly Bethesda cares about that stuff. Blizzard cares about that stuff. A lot of devs, Microsoft cares about that stuff. Look how much they're investing in the Master Chief Collection to try and sort that out. But EA and sometimes just franchises get dropped, and it's really annoying. And Microsoft can't afford to drop Halo like they've dropped Quantum Break and Alan Wake, but it's just annoying, man. It makes me sad.
Yeah. Well, the Ravenflow shot in for the super chat. It says Microsoft needs to learn to crawl before they can walk. And you know what? You did bring up something interesting about how maybe this is all just kind of a ploy to get Remedy, to turn the fans, to sick the fans on Microsoft, to force them to make those two games, because I do think there is this sense of Microsoft has money to spend now, and they're throwing money around. Whereas before, when they were doing Quantum Break and Alan Wake, maybe that necessarily wasn't the case. And here you have, I believe it was the CEO talking about this, saying like, hey, it's up to Microsoft, similar to how Ted Price was saying the same stuff about Sunset Overdrive, about a sequel for that. And now you have clear indications, not only from the CEO that, hey, we're spending, and now you actually see like them buying studios and all this stuff that, like, you know, maybe this is a little hint that, you know, Remedy just wants a little bit more money. Throw some money to Remedies away and they'll do a game for you. You know what I mean? But realistically, I think it's because, and Ash and Luca tweeted this out. She's like, so Microsoft is doing State of Decay 3, but won't do Alan Wake 2 or Quantum Break 2. And I think the real issue here, and it's the hard truth for people to realize, is that State of Decay is a cheap game that sells millions and millions and millions of copies. Quantum Break and Alan Wake were very expensive games that nobody bought. So, like, of course they're going to make State of Decay 3, and they are going to pass on those other two, right? I mean, it's just kind of business at that point, which is, I get, for, you know, if I'm looking at it from Microsoft's angle, of course, I'm doing State of Decay 3. And hell no, like, I'm not doing Quantum Break 2. The first, like, at some point, people need to buy these games to show that you want sequels, right? And people didn't buy Rise or any of these other games at the beginning of this generation in enough quantities to show that, hey, we want these sequels. And State of Decay is an example of people buying it and being like, we want more of this. You know, whether you don't like the game or like the game, you know, sales, which is why I talk about sales on this channel, because I know they're important. They are important, because if your game bombs, you're probably not seeing a sequel, but if it does well, you will get one. So that's the difference. It's like, people didn't buy Sunset Overdrive. So as the publisher, Microsoft looking at it, was like, well, you know what? You didn't support Sunset Overdrive. You're telling us you don't want a sequel. All right, we're not making a sequel. You're buying all these copies of State of Decay 2. We'll make another one. We'll make State of Decay 3. Nobody bought Quantum Break 2 or Quantum Break. We're not buying it. You know, we're not making a sequel. It's sorry. That's just the business aspect that Microsoft's in at this point. And shout out to Ryan the Professional for the super chat. Thanks for the support, Ryan. How you doing, buddy? Hope you're well. And I think that's just like the simple reason, is it not, Jez? Like, State of Decay sells and it's cheap, and Quantum Break.
This is the thing, though. Quantum Break existed in a world before Game Pass.
It did.
You know? And you could argue that Sea of Thieves and State of Decay 2 were heavily buoyed by the virality as a result of Xbox Game Pass, leading to cheap streams and, you know, an interest. And these games had multiplayer as well, so it's like, well, my friends bought it, I might as well buy it as well. And smashing zombies in co-op is fun, even if the game isn't the most polished in the world, you know. And Quantum Break didn't have that, obviously, but you have to wonder if, like, Quantum Break would have worked better as like a game where they could release an episode every month or something, and release, like, you know, maybe release the TV portion separately on Game Pass as a Netflix streaming thing, or, you know, there's experiments to be had there. And Quantum Break in of itself was an experiment, and it's not like Remedy was like, Microsoft, by the way, we want you know, millions of dollars to make a Hollywood TV show, because it's been my boyhood dream since I was a young lad to make a Hollywood TV show. Microsoft was fully on board with that because of their whole TV push.
Yep, that's
so
right.
It's not like Remedy was saying, we won't make this game unless you give us these, you know, Hollywood level, you know, actors. You know, it's not like Remedy was pushing for that. It's Microsoft trying to push their whole TV angle from.
Well, yeah, and look, there's nobody more disappointed than the fact that we won't see Quantum Break 2. I love that game. I gave that game like an 8.5. It was in my top 5 for game of the year, and I know a lot of people didn't really like that game, but I loved it. Right?
I loved it too,
and I'm incredibly disappointed that we won't see Quantum Break 2. But at some point,
I'm heartbroken, dismayed.
Pre or post Game Pass, you got to buy the games. People have to buy the games to secure the future of franchises. And Quantum Break, from what I understand, did not sell at all. And it was a very, very expensive game to make. even though it fit in on exactly what you said, Microsoft wanted to do, the whole TV focus.
It had loads of Windows phones in it as well.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe that's why it bombed.
I mean, who knows what the future... because here comes a scenario where what happens if Control doesn't do well? What happens if Control bombs, right? And they can't do a sequel to that. Do they come back to Microsoft and be like, listen, we need something here? And Microsoft's like doing okay at that point in time. They're like, you know what? Yeah, we could do a Quantum Break 2. We could do an Alan Wake 2. You never know what the future holds. That could be a scenario that happens, or maybe Control becomes super huge and Remedy is always multi-platform after that. It's just unfortunate to hear that, right from Remedy, that, hey, Microsoft doesn't want to take any of these games further. And the thing is, like, there's a universe there you could build on. You could make Quantum Break sequels.
There's so much that could do that game. Like some of the concept art, man, like the stuff that was cut, like those time anomaly monsters, and there's so much they could have done with that game and that franchise. And like Alan Wake 2, really. I mean, considering that Alan Wake was based, somewhere between reality and unreality. So, it's kind of like
I'm gonna say something. I'm gonna say something here that Xbox fans might want my head for, which is fine. I usually get destroyed for my opinions on certain stuff, anyways, or at least there's always a segment of people that don't like me because of it. I honestly think that Remedy is probably better situated for the PlayStation audience than the Xbox audience.
Maybe.
I think their games are very similar to Naughty Dog's games, and I've always kind of felt that if Alan Wake or Quantum Break were exclusive to PlayStation, they probably would have did better, because that is, I don't know, like that genre seems to work a lot better on PlayStation than it does on Xbox. Clearly, I mean, we've seen the proof. Xbox gamers didn't buy Alan Wake or Quantum Break. I don't know. I kind of feel like that. I kind of feel like maybe if Remedy was with PlayStation, there'd be an Alan Wake 2. Maybe there wouldn't be. I don't know. It's just something that like there's always kind of been in my mind regarding them.
It is an interesting point to make that sort of Xbox has become this sort of, you don't really think of you don't associate Xbox with cinematic single player games anymore. You think of like multiplayer games, maybe with a sort of decent-ish campaign like Halo and Gears 4, and then like mainly multiplayer games, and then good third-party games. But those sort of cinematic single-player experiences, they just don't live on Xbox anymore.
I mean, they live on there through third-party stuff.
Yeah, that's what I said. Through third party.
I think like Ninja Theory.
It's not where you go. If you're a fan of those, if you're a fan of single-player cinematic games, you don't go to Xbox. You go to PlayStation.
I also feel like Microsoft bought Ninja Theory to kind of maybe dispel some of that, because I think Ninja Theory is going to make a single-player focused cinematic experience with no multiplayer and no DLC. You know what I mean?
No doubt.
And
is that going to bomb like Quantum Break just because the audience isn't there?
I mean, I don't know. Who knows I don't know. We're projecting too far into the future. We don't even know what they're making yet.
Don't you have a crystal ball around? You predicted game release dates left, right, and center.
I know, right? I did. Yeah. So, I know. It's one thing I'm positive on is that whatever Ninja Theory releases is going to be amazing, and I think it's going to be a single player cinematic AAA experience. Which is what Microsoft doesn't really do a lot of. I mean, I don't know, but then Gears of War is going to have a campaign, and it's going to be heavily cinematic. I mean, Gears 4's campaign was, right?
Yep.
I mean, I don't know. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen with that? But Xbox Gamescom plan here, Jez. So when this stuff came out, did you honestly think that Microsoft was going to reveal new hardware, Xbox hardware? Or were you like also thinking like, wait, something's got to be amiss here? So for those of you that don't understand, Major Nelson put up a blog post saying that Xbox is coming to Gamescom and everything that you can expect there. How they have Inside Xbox will have a special episode, how they're doing Fan Fest again over there. what type of things you can expect if you're going to be there at the Xbox booth, and Mixer's going to be there, and how they're launching. Hey, this right up your alley. Xbox official gear shop for Europe, Jez. Didn't you say you wanted that?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, but
it's not going to be there for very long.
Yeah, true. But Major Nelson in his original post said that there would be new Xbox One hardware, and man, did people freak out. People were like, oh my god, Xbox Scarlet incoming. Tom Warren was like going at Major Nelson for this and stuff, and it was just like people were like, it's coming, it's happening. And I just sat there and I'm like, should I make a video about this? And I thought to myself, no, because it's clearly a mistake. Number one, Microsoft isn't going to show any type of new hardware at Gamescom. Like, if they're going to show new hardware, it's going to be at a special event or at E3. So I'm like, this has got to be wrong. And sure enough, Major Nelson went back and redid it and said that new Xbox bundles, right? It's just interesting to see the reaction, because I saw PlayStation dudes being like, oh my god, they're revealing another Xbox even though the Xbox One X is 8 months old. What's up with this? And then Xbox people freaking out because like, oh my god, new console already? And it's just like, calm down, guys. I'm sure it's just a mistake, and sure enough, it was. What do you think the new bundles are going to be? Or first off, do you think Gamescom's even going to be worth watching? You think anything of importance is going to happen there?
Yeah, I do. I think they'll make some decent-ish announcements. I'm not expecting E3 levels of stuff or like past Gamescoms. Sometimes they've had pretty big announcements at Gamescom, but I'm not expecting anything huge this year. But I think it'll be pretty good. I mean, I don't know anything about their plans, really. I sort of, there's always things you can expect, like maybe we'll see a new Elite controller, stuff like that. But the thing is, I think Microsoft doesn't care that much about Gamescom. They do it for like the local fans or whatever, but they know most people aren't watching Gamescom, and that core gamers probably don't even know that it exists. Like a lot of people don't even know E3 exists. Frankly, not core gamers. Sorry, like the wider gaming arena. So I think Microsoft will announce the Elite controller whenever they're ready to. I don't think they'll tie it to Gamescom, artificially. I think they'll announce it as and when. Other than that, I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe they'll announce studios and stuff. I wouldn't set your expectations too high. But then again, I said that about E3, and look what happened.
Yeah, but you didn't change your stance on E3 until like the week before, though.
Yeah.
Right.
But I didn't expect much from E3 originally, and then I started hearing things close to the date. Right now, I'm not expecting much from Gamescom. I think that kind of blew everything out at E3, but who knows, man? Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I think that as well. Look, they're just having an inside Xbox show. I don't really expect much from that. Maybe you finally get a reveal of the Elite version, the Elite 2, right? Possibly as a new controller. I don't really know what else to expect, because it did seem like they went all out for E3. So I don't expect a Fable announcement. I don't expect a Perfect Dark announcement. It's possible. Do you think it's possible if they do sign another studio that they announce it during Gamescom at some point? I know they're,
possibly.
We're going to talk about this in a minute, but they are looking to buy new studios or more studios.
It's very possible.
I don't know. I think Gamescom has just been less important to them. Like, I know when's the last time they even did a press conference there? Was it 2015? Was it 2016? Because most of the time it's just been like a live stream.
They did the Age of Empires thing last year. That was a press conference.
Was it a press conference? I mean, I guess you could qualify it as that. But last year for Xbox, because you have Age of Empires and you have Xbox. Last year for Xbox was just that terrible live stream they had. Remember, with bowls full of controllers and them announcing Ultimate Zoo Tycoon and Disney Adventures and stuff.
I thought you were going to say Ultimate Zune.
I don't know.
Like, what?
Ultimate Zune. It's a different timeline that I live in.
Different timeline. I like that timeline. Let's bring back the Zune.
Because I'm trying to think, because in 2015, that's when they announced the Tomb Raider exclusivity. Was that when they also announced Halo Wars 2? They ended the show with Halo Wars 2 at Gamescom. Or was that 2016?
I don't know, man.
I don't remember.
I don't even know what day of the week it is, man.
It's Friday today.
You're asking me to remember numbers like that?
I'm trying. You know what number we need to improve? The 87 likes on the show. There's 330 people watching, but not even 100 likes. What's going on, guys? It's free. Just hit that little like button or dislike button if you hate us. If you despise me and Jez, hit that dislike button. But I know you guys like us because you're here watching.
Here on a Friday night watching.
Yeah. So, just hit that like button. Show your support. It's free. Helps out a lot.
Samuel Tobit says Halo Wars 2 ended the 2015 Gamescom show.
Yeah.
That was a pretty big announcement.
And that was the year where they also showed off Scalebound and
Rare Replay? Rare Replay year?
No, Rare Replay was at Rare Replay was the year they unveiled backwards compatibility at E3 because it came out that year.
Oh yeah. Oh, I don't know. Can't remember. I remember at one Gamescom before the Division came out where they showed us the companion app where like you could control a drone in the Division using a Surface, and it was the coolest thing ever. On smart glass.
It was the coolest thing ever.
It was so cool, man. Like the dude was like one person was playing on Xbox, person sitting next to him was like with a Surface tablet controlling this drone, flying it around, healing him, dropping bombs and stuff like that. But they deleted it, man. They deleted it from the game. I'm sad.
Why'd they do that?
They said it was overpowered. They said either we made it too weak that it was boring to play, or that it was too powerful that it was just completely unbalancing to the whole game. Which is funny to me because the Division is hardly the most balanced game I've ever played. So, I don't know. It was a cool concept. Companion app gaming. Do you remember when companion app gaming was supposed to be the future?
I do remember that. Gaming? Yep. The second screen, as it was called, right?
Second screen gaming.
Second screen. And yeah, no, it didn't happen. It didn't take off.
I used second screen for Battlefield. Was it 4? Battlefield 4? Because like there was a smart glass app for Battlefield 4 where like you could see the whole map at all times, like the whole map. So I used to have the whole map on my Surface while playing Battlefield on my PC. That was actually kind of useful. No, but other than that, no.
I don't think even Microsoft, any for their games, do second screen stuff. It's amazing to see where Microsoft focus goes from here and there. Oh, second screen. Oh, connect and voice commands. Oh, this, oh, that. And none of it ever takes off. And it's like, oh, TV. Everybody's going to want to watch TV episodes of their favorite video game stuff. God, it's even...
Well, Halo. We're getting a Halo TV show.
Finally, after it was announced...
You said nobody wanted TV.
I'm just saying, like, their focus back in this generation...
Right? You hate TV.
I don't hate TV.
So you can't watch the Halo show because you hate TV.
No, I'll watch the Halo show. I'll watch it.
I want a Gears of War show.
Well, you might get a Gears of War movie.
I want it to be R-rated though. I don't want a teen-rated Gears movie. I want to see blood and guts and intestines.
You want to see blood, guts, and some titties?
Well, no, I said intestines.
Oh, I thought you said blood, guts, and tits.
No, I said intestines. But whatever, I'll take.
Well, I mean, what else would if you rated R?
Well, we did establish on a previous podcast that the Berserker is a female.
And we got a question from Face23BKNY, and this one's for you, Jez. Does Jez like the look of the PS4 Pro Spider-Man limited edition console? Keep up the good work, guys. Great podcast. I actually asked Jez this in DMs because I was like, hey, look at this console. And what did you say?
I don't know why there's so much hype for a red console. Again, I don't like Spider-Man. I don't like Marvel. I don't like... I said to you, didn't I? I've only seen Iron Man out of the new Marvel movies. I don't know why. Marvel just doesn't resonate with me. I'm not a Spider-Man fan, but I am a fan of the color red. So if it didn't have the big Spider-Man logo on it, then it'd be cool. Maybe I could just paint over the Spider-Man logo or just peel it off because it's probably just a sticker anyway.
They do love their stickers on there. I actually like the look of that Spider-Man Pro.
I like the color. The color's beautiful, but I just don't care about spiders, man.
Here's an interesting question. What is the next custom console that Microsoft will make?
Ah, good question.
Since we're talking about the Spider-Man Pro one.
Well,
You don't think, I don't think they'll do one for Forza Horizon 4. I think they'll bundle
No.
Forza Horizon 4, but I don't think they'll make a custom console for it.
Bunduru. They've already done
Bunduru.
they've already done Gears of War and Minecraft.
That's right, they have.
Do you
Yep.
think they'll do another? Do you think they'll do a Gears 5 Xbox One X?
I think they will. I also think they'll do one
instead of red.
I think they'll do one for Halo Infinite as well.
Oh yeah, Halo Infinite for sure.
Anthem. Fuzzy Belvedere in chat says Anthem.
Mm-hmm.
But I was more thinking of one that they'll sell at stores. They might make custom ones for Anthem to give away. Sony does it. I mean, Sony, they do custom consoles for all their exclusives and some of their big third-party partnerships.
I mean, they put stickers on their consoles for.
Yeah. But at least they're doing something. You know, I'm trying to think. Like Microsoft didn't do one for Sea of Thieves. They didn't do one for State of Decay. I don't think they're going to do one for Forza. I don't think they're going to do one for Crackdown. I don't think they're going to do one for Ori. Definitely not for like a $30 game or whatever it's going to be. Is the next custom console literally going to be for Gears of War 5, Jazz, or Gears 5? Is that the next one?
Maybe. It's going to be blue though, because they've got that whole ice.
Yes, they do have that
ice
whole
theme going on.
Yeah.
So it might be blue. Crackdown 3 custom console with Terry Crews face, FF81 says. I like that. Voodoo Vince 4K, Logan says. Voodoo Vince custom console. What about a Loco Cycle custom console that has wheels on it?
You know what? They should make one for Anthem. If Anthem is gonna if Anthem is as big as they think they're gonna be, they should make one for that, but they won't.
Do they ever make ones for third parties?
Battlefield? I think they made one for Battlefield 1.
It was like it was just a color.
I guess it was just a color, and it came.
I've got that console. I've actually got that grey Xbox One S. It's in the drawer.
I guess it's kind of disappointing. Like I can't even Gears 5 will be the next custom console. Like unless
Smash Bros. Xbox One X is my.
They did say it's expensive to do the custom consoles the way they do it now, though. Like the Gears one and the Minecraft one.
They've kind of set the bar a bit high for custom consoles because the Gears of War one had like laser etchings, like laser textures, and it had custom sound effects, and this complete paint job throughout the whole thing with like textured paint. That can't be cheap to pull off in like a sort of mass-produced way. And the Minecraft one like actually had like a redstone circuit schematic painted on it or something. There was like secrets in the Minecraft console. It was weird.
Really quickly, Jazz, you want to talk about Microsoft's financials? I know a lot of people love to talk about how Xbox is dying, but you were quite impressed by the announcements yesterday, were you not?
Yeah, well, I was at first, and then I sort of, put my thinking head on and thought, oh, well, that's pretty good. But the thing about Microsoft's financials is they always sort of they don't never tell us the full picture. They never tell us how many consoles are released. Nope. They never tell us the breakdown of Xbox Live engagement. Like they always say, Xbox Live engagement is up to 57 million now. What does that mean? How many people are on 360? How many people are on Xbox One? How many people are Xbox Live subscribers? They never tell us profits. They just talk about revenue. So it's like revenue's up, which shows, money out and money in.
Revenue's up like 35%.
Yeah, and you've got to believe a lot of that's expenditure and investment and stuff like that, movement. The most interesting things about Microsoft's financials was the commitments that Satya Nadella made in the conference call, where he was saying, like, gaming is now a pillar of what we do. They have a new... You
want me to read his comment?
Yeah, go on. Read Satya's comment.
He goes on to say, in gaming, we're pursuing our expansive opportunity from the way games are created and distributed to how they're played and viewed, surpassing 10 billion revenue this year for the first time. We're investing aggressively in content, community, and cloud services across every endpoint to expand usage and deepen engagement with gamers. The combination of Xbox Live Game Pass subscription and Mixer are driving record levels of growth. and engagement. He goes on to say that PlayFab accelerates our vision to build a world-class cloud platform for the gaming industry across mobile, PC, and console. The addition of 5 new gaming studios bolsters our first-party content development to support our fast-growing gaming services. So, I mean, they hit 10 billion in revenue for the first time ever for gaming.
Yes.
So, I mean, I don't know what else you need to hear from the CEO. I mean, they're clearly all behind Xbox at this point. But like, you know, so Sony's still like, because I believe if you want to compare revenue, which people do, Microsoft's 10 billion, Sony for the last fiscal year was 18-ish, and Nintendo's was at like 9. So I don't know, like when you look at like that, like damn, Nintendo's at 9, like whew, Switch must be doing work for them, like because they're coming off
the Switch though, isn't it?
Well, no, they did the 3DS and the other stuff 3DS? Too, but still, like here's Nintendo.
The 3DS is huge. What's the install base of the 3DS? It's ridiculous. Isn't it?
But Nintendo also doesn't have a subscription service. Like
they don't.
Microsoft and Sony do. Like Sony's subscription service for PlayStation Plus is, you know, out of the 18 billion, it's probably brings in like 3 billion. Microsoft's is probably pretty high as well, and Nintendo doesn't even have any of that. And the Nintendo Wii, the Wii U, was a complete disaster for them. So it's like, man, like here's Nintendo, their revenue's almost equal to Microsoft's. But yeah, I mean, Nintendo also has the 2DS and 3DS that see, you know, that people. But I mean, this does all go because I see it all the time from people. Xbox is getting out of the business. Xbox isn't profitable, makes no money, yada yada yada. But when you actually look at it, yeah, they make money. They're just kind of you know, it's just, they don't make as much money as PlayStation, and because it doesn't make as much money as PlayStation, people think Xbox is failing for whatever reason. I don't know, it's pretty dumb. I mean, you know, Pepsi doesn't sell as much as Coke at all, like you know, but nobody says Pepsi is about to leave the Coca, the soda pop business or whatever, right? There's always room for
what's better, on Coke or Pepsi?
I would rather have a Coke than a Pepsi.
Same.
Yeah, I don't really care for Pepsi. I do like Coke.
I can barely tell the difference. I usually just mix it with alcohol anyway, which destroys the flavor. So
shout out to Eternal Shaddai. He wants to know, Jez, is it a good idea to release for the first time ever a custom-made Microsoft Scarlet console for Ninja Theory's first game as a first-party studio?
It depends. Like, I don't know if you make a custom console for an unknown IP. That's risky. You know, it's like the Recore Collector's Edition, for example. The Recore Collector's Edition launched, I think it was like $80 or something. That you can still go out and buy that because it didn't sell out, and it's like you can get it for like $30 now or less. So
like it is. They need. Here's the thing about making custom consoles, custom controllers, and stuff like that. They need a lot of lead time, you know, and we're talking like a year out. And maybe if they really felt high on Ninja Theory's new IP, like they played it out and they think it's the next big thing, possibly, but they probably won't. And like,
it's a risk. Maybe for the second game, if it's
potentially. Big. I mean, they don't even make custom consoles for their Forza games. And those Forza games are, you know, always sell pretty good, and they're always highly rated. Like, if they were going to make a custom console for any Forza game, it would be Forza Horizon 4. Would you agree, Jez, with how well 3 did? Yeah, if they were ever going to make
they could put like a big Britain flag on it.
Yeah, like, and then nobody's going to want it then. What about a sheep? Put a sheep on there.
No, not a sheep. Do you think you'd be able to run over the sheep in Forza Horizon 4?
Nah, I bet you they get out of the way real quick.
But sheep are dumb, man. They don't get out of the way.
Yeah, but I can't just see, like, it'll just be montages on YouTube of people just running over sheep.
Can you imagine what it would look like if you ran over a sheep in, like, a Lamborghini at 250 miles an hour?
The Indie Gamer says they made a custom Forza console for Forza 6. Did they?
Did they?
I don't recall them make. I know they made a custom.
They do those like one-off custom consoles like the Assassin's Creed Origins. Did you see that custom console? That was absolutely incredible. But they only made one or two.
Yeah, I mean they do make there's like a Deadpool one.
Yeah,
I mean
Deadpool.
I think you're thinking of a controller. Or no.
No, they made a console. They made a console.
Did they?
And it's like it's like
Is it blue?
Like a tab. No, it's like sandstone. It's like etched with hieroglyphics. It looks
incredible.
Incredible.
You're talking about the Assassin's Creed one. I was talking about
Assassin's Creed Origins.
All right, you know what? Let's go to Google. I need to see this because I don't think they've ever made a custom one for Forza. Let's see. Google Forza 6. What will you search? Forza 6 Xbox.
Well, while Rand Googles this, guys, answer us in chat. What custom Xbox or PlayStation or Switch would you want to have made personally for you?
Hey, they did make a custom console for it.
Oh, they did.
It was blue. I stand corrected. Thank you. Which I guess they could make one for Forza Horizon 4. I mean, if they did one for Forza 6, why not?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
What was the question, Jez? What'd you ask the peeps?
I asked the peeps what custom console they'd want made personally.
I want an Ori console to go along with the Ori controller that I've been begging James to make. Like, seriously, James will be like, give me some feedback. I'm like, okay, I'm always out for giving Xbox dudes feedback about stuff. He's like, what would you like to see controller-wise? I'm like, James, there's only one thing I need to see. And that's an Ori and the Will-o-the-Wisp controller. That's all I need, buddy. And, you know, I'm saying it here on the podcast. I know he listens. I wonder if he's in chat. James, please, for the love of all that is holy, you know, talk to your PM. Be like, you know what? I think we need to make an Ori controller to make Rand happy. Just do that.
I want a Resident Evil 2 remake controller.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Blood spattered with the Umbrella logo on it. Umbrella thumbsticks.
Ooh.
that designs itself. I'm gonna get Jordy Tommy to make that. Xbox Pope with his cool designs.
He definitely should. But
like, here's here are some of the suggestions in chat. We got Cat says Cyberpunk. Can't pronounce your full name. Sorry, I'm dumb. Burrow says I would like a Fable custom console. Loon Smile says Halo Infinite. We got PS4 Mega Man PS4. We got Cuphead, another Halo Infinite, Gears 5, Cyberpunk, Mega Man, Crackdown 3 with Terry Crews, Demon Souls custom console. That's a classic.
You know, Cyberpunk one. If that game is as big as I think it's going to be, like, I would not be surprised if they make a custom.
I tell you,
Cyberpunk.
I haven't seen the Cyberpunk BCD yet, and fingers crossed, I'll be seeing it at Gamescom. But everyone I've spoken to who did go to E3, for like super professional people, like, you know, the top, they all tell me that Cyberpunk buried everything.
Yep. I had a conversation with somebody who told me that what they're doing with Cyberpunk is just far beyond what anybody else is doing with any game.
Whew.
So yeah, I mean, I guess Microsoft might have the marketing deal for that. And if it's as big as I think it's going to be, make a console, make a custom. Oh god, can you imagine how cool that custom console could look?
All technical and stuff. Cyborg console. Yeah. I might book time off work for Cyberpunk.
Oh yeah,
it'd be the worst time to be off work because there'd be loads of content to write. But so back in the day, before I was a game journalist, when I was really excited for a game, I used to book time off work and just say, right, I'm gonna have 2 weeks and just enjoy this game and do nothing else. I used to do it for every WoW expansion. I did it for The Witcher, you know, and I can't do that anymore, man. But I might do it for Cyberpunk because The Witcher 3 is still my game of the gen by a huge margin. I don't think any game this gen has come close to Witcher 3 for me. Like, it's like when I talk about, like, I talk about things sometimes like, this is my favorite game, but like, when I say that, I'm not including The Witcher 3 because The Witcher 3 is sort of up here on its own level, Rand. All the other games are down here and The Witcher 3 is kind of up here. You know what I mean?
Right, I know what you mean. So last topic before we get out of here. Microsoft and Xbox are still looking to buy more studios, Jez.
That's
That's
what
something
I've heard.
that we both heard. But in this interview uh, with
Booty time.
PC Games Insider, Matt Boutte. I'm gonna say
Boutte.
that's how I'm gonna say his name, Matt Boutte.
Booty.
You know, they asked him like a whole bunch of questions about what the thinking behind the acquisitions and why they were made now. You know, he says that while the industry is growing across the board, there seems to be fewer teams and studios focused on mid-tier games that sit between AAA blockbusters on one end and the smaller games on the other. And those are the kind of studios that we're interested in partnering with right now. Studios with teams that can make quality, crafted games that just sit between mid-tier and AAA. And by becoming part of our Microsoft Studios family, can focus on craft and innovation and accelerate their creative growth. And that they're still looking for teams, but they're looking for teams and talent with a proven track record of delivering differentiated gaming experiences.
See, I saw this quote, and I think what a lot of people took from that was we are only looking to make AA games. Mm-hmm. But personally, what I take from that is we're looking to buy smaller studios that have a plan for growth, and we want to grow them and grow with them. We don't want to just take a AAA studio and make their games exclusive. We want to take a smaller studio and elevate them. That's kind of what I take from that quote. Maybe I'm wrong. What do you think?
I mean, I think they're just looking for great studios to help build first-party content for them. I don't think they're just only looking at, oh, this studio's single A or this studio's double A. They're just looking for people that are available that have like a plan. Because he goes on to say that he says there's values in having studios in different parts of the world, as those teams bring unique viewpoints and unique talents to the game, franchises and stuff. He goes on to say each of the studios we're adding to our first-party family is really first and foremost organized around great creative leaders who love the craft of making video games, which, you know, like he says that, and I just kind of like think back to the conversation we had earlier about Remedy, centered around Sam Lake, you know? And like everything they say here just like says to me like Remedy, like why not buy Remedy, right? Because they kind of fit into everything that Matt Boutte says in all these quotes. I mean, it easily could be like Remedy doesn't want to be bought out, or maybe Microsoft, you know, has worked with them exclusively for so long that, you know, they essentially were a first-party studio, and you know they didn't really want to continue the relationship. But he says our view on studios and partners include three general categories: long-term partners that we can bring into the fold and help them grow to their next level, smaller studios built around creative leaders and the ability to explore unique stories and characters, and lastly, starting new projects around proven veteran leaders. So I mean, I think each one of their, you know, purchases kind of fit into that. So like if you're thinking about, you know, with the criteria of that and who's available, I mean, who do you think they target or are targeting or having talks with right now? I mean, people always throw out like Obsidian as like a potential target, or somebody like Sumo Digital, since they're already working on them with Crackdown 3 and stuff like that. I mean, what do you think, Jez? Who do you think Microsoft will try to get?
It frustrated me because this came out, the news about Quantum Break and Alan Wake being on the shelf came out around the same time as this news. And I was thinking, like, you know, a lot of these studios would probably love the stability that joining a big company could make. Yeah, there's benefits to being there are benefits to being independent, obviously. Like look at Epic Games. Like they were just sort of making Unreal Engine. They were making Unreal Tournament sort of as a free-to-play game. Like nobody really even knew about it. You know, they weren't really doing a huge amount of stuff. And now they got Fortnite, which has exploded and blown up, and all the money, or pretty much all the money, is theirs. I mean, they've got investors too, like Tencent, funnily enough. But you know, they have benefited from being independent. But like when you're a studio making maybe riskier single player games like Remedy, like which don't necessarily have a multiplayer component and they don't necessarily have like long tail content like microtransactions and stuff like that. Those games are riskier. So I can see like the benefits for someone like Ninja Theory and Remedy. There are benefits to being part of a big company, a big corporation, as long as you can retain the creative control. And clearly under Phil Spencer, they've convinced Ninja Theory and Compulsion and others that they will continue to have, you know, a degree of creative control and stuff like that. So I think like I'd love to see Remedy join Microsoft. I'd love to see like Armature join Microsoft and like grow out Recore and stuff like that, or something like Recore. There's loads of studios, man. You know, I was kind of hoping that Microsoft would pick up some of these bigger studios, like, and add value to them. Like, for example, I know a lot of people freak out about this, but if they bought Capcom, they could seriously bring some of their cloud services and multiplayer expertise to Capcom, because Monster Hunter World's multiplayer systems are garbage, man. They are so bad the way they're set up. They're convoluted, they're messy, failed connections all over the place and stuff like that. Like, the very least, Microsoft could partner with Capcom to sort that stuff out. You know, there are loads of studios that could probably benefit the most under Microsoft, but I think like for Microsoft, they want to elevate studios. They want to, you know, go for some of those smaller studios. What if they bought Hello Games, man, and like grew No Man's Sky into like a juggernaut?
Yeah, I mean,
what if they bought like
people in chat say Bungie?
Yeah, Bungie.
But rebuy Bungie, even though you sold them, even though you parted ways, and you own. I believe Microsoft still owns 15% of that studio. Yeah, buy them back. Just get them back.
Get them back. They should consider purchasing Frictional Games, Soma, Amnesia. That's interesting.
Soma's really good. There's a lot of.
I'd love it. I'd love it if they, you know, picked up Paradox or something, and like Paradox could be like the Age of Empires dev while making all the other stuff, because Paradox just makes such amazing strategy games that have like such, you know, like Stellaris and
you know, remember a couple weeks ago I was a little bit down on like I felt like 3 of the purchases were great. 2 of them I was a little unsure on. Like I'm not that big of a fan of the Undead Labs purchase, because like I don't really care for State of Decay. But like, hey, but hold on. But like, if they prove me wrong with State of Decay 3, I'm all for it. Like I want to see huge improvement from State of Decay 2 to 3, right? So that's one. But the other one was Compulsion Games. I was like, you know, I played their first game, Contrast, was all right, but nothing really screamed like we need to have the studio locked down because we need to see what they're going to make for their next game. And then I played We Happy Few when it first came out in 2016, and I'm like, no, this is terrible. This is nothing that I want. But honestly, I've been watching the new trailers and stuff, and like, I think it's possible Microsoft like got a bargain with the studio. Like, if We Happy Few, like with the single player stuff that they turned that game into, I'm actually really excited to check that game out on August 10th when it finally, you know, leaves game preview with the stories and stuff. And maybe they made the right decision. Maybe they had played it or whatever, but like, I don't know. I don't know. Do you feel anything like that towards We Happy Few? Because that game was off my radar forever until like all these new trailers came out, and it's like, oh,
that new trailer was really impressive. You know, I played We Happy Few in preview, and I've played the most recent preview build. I like survival games, you know, and I know they're not everyone's cup of tea. I kind of liked it, and also the British stuff just resonates with me, like killing people with cricket bats. Takes me back to my youth, Rand. But I get that it probably wasn't going to be. It looked a mess in game preview, but that most recent trailer was incredible. And I urge anyone, if you haven't watched the latest trailer for We Happy Few, go and check it out, because it's incredibly creepy. I think if they've managed to turn that game around, at the very least, we'll see like some of the creative vision that studio has when they've got like good backing and stuff.
So here's the thing: I have a rule, and you can ask Addict about this, because he was trying to get me to play Halo Wars 2, but I wasn't having it. If I uninstall a game, it never gets reinstalled. I'm done with it. And I have the space. I have 8 terabytes of free space. But like, if I delete a game, it's gone. I'm never reinstalling it. Like, I'm done with that game. I deleted We Happy Few. after playing it in game preview and seeing what it was. I'm like, I'm not interested in this game, deleted. But after watching those new trailers, I actually broke my rule and reinstalled We Happy Few.
Well, it's almost a different game. Like those boss style characters, like in the whole Bioshock sort of vein, where like the bosses have a theme in the area and stuff. It's could be really cool. I'm intrigued by that game. I mean, every time I see that policeman mask, it gets creepier with the big grin. It's weird, man.
So
There are loads of cool studios that they could pick up. But if before we take some questions around, what one sort of AA-ish studio would you like to see Microsoft pick up and grow?
What one studio? You know what? They're a studio that's made two of my favorite games. One of them from last gen, one from this gen, and they're a small studio that could potentially fit into what Microsoft is trying to do. It's not like big time like Obsidian or Remedy or some of the bigger named independent ones, or even Insomniac. Because if it was like anybody, I'd be like, get Insomniac. But this is a little bit smaller than that. I would love to see Microsoft get Playdead.
That's a good pick.
Yeah. Playdead, because Limbo and Inside are two of my favorite games, and I think they're just, they make games that are masterpieces for their respective genres. So that's why I would love to see them picking them up. I mean, yeah, Moon Studios, you know, for Ori, because Microsoft owns the IP of Ori, but they don't own Moon Studios. But I don't know, man. Like Playdead to me is like, would be like one of those. It's like, oh man, like here you like whatever they make is going to be amazing. I don't know. What about you?
Well, you know, they're the obvious ones, like you say, like Obsidian and Insomniac and stuff like that. I've already said Paradox. I'd love to say like Paradox, but they're pretty big. They're a pretty big independent publisher now. Like they've got like City Skylines and all those strategy games. They just bought Harebrained Games as well, which made BattleTech, which is really good, by the way. Oh man, I don't know. Someone said Creative Assembly in chat, which I think is a good one.
Yeah, well, Creative Assembly is owned by Sega, so that couldn't happen.
Oh, okay. What Relic's owned by Sega too, right?
I believe so. My buddy Ludboat Gopher says, and I knew before you
4A Games.
4A Games.
Yes.
They're not owned. They're not owned by THQ Nordic. They're independent, but I believe THQ Nordic does own the Metro IP though.
Yeah, maybe. But 4A Games. A lot of people who worked at 4A Games also worked on the Stalker series. Stalker is, Metro is basically Stalker, with like, it's almost the same sort of game, and like the same sort of mood and stuff like that. So 4A Games could easily just drop the Metro IP to THQ and make another post-apocalyptic shooter, and it'd just be almost as good.
Yeah, I'd be down for 4A.
4A is a good one. I don't know. What about Avalanche?
Avalanche? I don't know. I'm not
like that'd be a good open world studio to have.
I'm not that big of a fan of Just Cause, although the new Rage game does look pretty interesting.
I love Rage, looks great, and I really love the Mad Max game. Like, I really love. Isn't Metro Deep Silver? Oh, actually, that's the point. But isn't Deep Silver THQ?
Deep Silver is THQ Nordic just bought Deep Silver, I believe.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
It's complicated. Everyone owns someone these days. I don't know. I'd love to see. I don't know. There's loads of little studios.
I mean, hell, Epic Games is owned by Tencent.
It's not owned, is it? I thought
they're heavily invested in Tencent's like heavily invested into Epic Games.
Yeah.
Wait, you know what? No, I do think Tencent does own Epic. Hold on, let me look. I want to say
if they own Epic, I'm gonna cry. Stalker 2 is in the works by whom? I don't know who's making the next Stalker game. They're rebooting Stalker.
Okay, here you go. Tencent owns a 40% stake in Epic Games.
Damn.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of stakes.
Yeah.
I like stakes.
That's a lot of stake.
There's a lot of stake. I kind of like... there's loads of little studios I'd love to see grow. Like the Molasses Flood, who made Flame in the Flood, which is a personal favorite of mine. Hinterland Games, who made The Long Dark. Absolutely love The Long Dark. It's one of my favorite games this gen. I don't know, man. I love Hinterland Games. Shout out to those guys.
Hmm.
But shall we take some questions and then get on out of here?
Yeah, let's do that. So, anybody got any questions for us? Put them in chat. We will try to answer them as fast and as good as we can. Let's see here. Face wants to know, Guerrilla Games is expanding from 250 employees to 400 and moving to a bigger studio. What other game will they make besides Horizon Zero Dawn 2, a new IP, or another Killzone? I think they'll probably make Killzone.
Yeah, I think they'll make Killzone 2. I think there's an opportunity there for Sony to have a truly, leading first-person shooter, because they don't really have one, do they?
A first-person shooter? I mean, they did the Resistance games with Insomniac. Killzone was the Halo killer, which didn't really set the world on fire. Sony tends to stay away from. I mean, they did SOCOM for all those years.
But that's what I mean, though. There isn't really a flagship first-person game for Sony, and like given how good their first-party output has been recently, I think it'd be cool to see that level of ingenuity and investment in Killzone. So,
well, the reason I think
cool
they're doing I think they're doing another Killzone is because the game director of Rainbow Six Siege left to join Guerrilla. That's why I think they're going to make another Killzone. Like, I know, going from 200 to 400 people does kind of imply working on two games, considering they built 250 people made Horizon Zero Dawn, but then 343 is 500 people, and they only work on Halo. So I don't really know, but yeah, if I had to guess, I mean, Killzone, like, you have your new IP with Horizon Zero Dawn, you hire somebody who's the game director of Rainbow Six Siege, clearly a first-person based. Why not try to revisit Killzone? It's given enough. I mean, at that point, what, like, Killzone, the last Killzone game was 2013, right? Launch title. Presumably by the next time this game comes out, you're looking at 2021. You're a good 8 years away from the last Killzone game. Most people probably don't even remember it at that point. So why not redo? Why not?
It's worth bringing it back. It's worth bringing it back.
Let's see what else we got here. D.I. Almighty Spartan God wants a troll question, so I'll get a troll answer. Will Xbox win an MPD for the rest of the year? Will you actually put a good question? That's my answer to that. Let's see here. 007 says, what about Red Barrel, creators of Outlast? There you go. Does as an independent studio, but I don't think
I don't know if Microsoft. I can't see Microsoft picking up a horror game.
No, I can't see them either.
They don't like horror games.
Okay, Hyper Talon 7 says, would you rather see Ninja Theory create a new IP and start a new franchise, or stick to making a one-off experience? So a one-off experience be like Hellblade, or a new IP where they create a brand new IP and then create sequels for it. What do you think, Jez? Are you more for the franchise, or are you more for single, like, offshoots, like a?
I like franchises because I like getting invested in the world. I like lore. I'm the kind of person that reads the Dragon Age's codex. I read the backstory. I read lore books. I've got the new World of Warcraft lore book to read, actually, and I just bought all the Gears of War books as well. I like worlds building and immersion. So, like, to me, franchises are cooler because there's just more and more stuff you can enjoy from a game. So personally, yeah, I would rather see a franchise. I'd rather see Hellblade 2. No, I haven't even got around to Hellblade 1 yet, but I'd still rather see Hellblade 2.
I would rather them create something new because I think Hellblade was such a great confined story and it doesn't need a sequel. But I would like to see a franchise.
What if they did, like? Now, again, I haven't played Hellblade, so I don't really know.
What are you doing talking about it then if you haven't played it?
No, I want to ask you if this would work. Like, maybe they don't do a sequel to Hellblade, but they do something in the same universe.
I mean, I don't know. Hellblade was very much her experience because you'd have to play the game. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure they create something because they're very creative people, But I feel like Hellblade 2 wouldn't work. That game was it told the story it needed to tell, and it was over. I think Microsoft, they probably want them to create, well, they have creative freedom. I guess it's up to them. Like they said that they can make it whatever they want. So if they want to make Hellblade 2, well, I guess they make Hellblade 2. But I have a feeling it'll be a brand new IP, and it'll be like the start of a new franchise. Dad Dark Lord Fusion wants to know, does the PS5 or next Xbox come out first? Well, I made that video about what Michael Pachter says. He says the next Xbox is coming first, no matter what. Even if that means the Xbox is coming in 2018. Because he's like, it's weird because he's talking about like the next PlayStation like it's 2021 and Microsoft will get out in 2020. But if they feel that PlayStation is coming out in 2020, then Microsoft will launch earlier, which presumably would be 2019. But like, I almost feel like PlayStation's closer to launch their next system than Xbox is. I don't know. What do you think comes out first, Jez? The PlayStation 5 or the Xbox 2?
I have no clue. It's just hard to say, man. No idea.
Well, I'm gonna say the PlayStation 5 comes out first. That's just
one thing I know for a fact Microsoft doesn't want is they don't want PlayStation 5 to have a power advantage in any way, shape, or form. Yeah. So if the power advantage means the Xbox One comes out a bit later to wait for a new chipset, that'll be what happens, or something, you know. But whatever happens, the next Xbox has to be more powerful than the next PlayStation.
Yeah, Keith Trailer wants to know, what good bundles could they make with Xbox One X at Gamescom? My OG Xbox One broke, and I want to know what you guys think they'll bundle. Well, I think you'll get a good Forza Horizon 4 bundle, as that game is being dubbed with Xbox One X as the lead, and it has the 60 frames mode, so I think you can potentially expect that bundle. I would imagine they'll also bundle Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Jazz, you think they'll bundle that?
Yeah, I reckon. What about Battlefield 5?
And probably Battlefield 5 as well. Now, will they bundle those with the Xbox One X? Maybe. I'm not really sure. They probably will. It'll be the 1 year. They'll probably do some bundles for the X at some point. So yeah, I mean, we don't have that much longer to find out. Like 1 more month.
Keith Trailer said something. I would love to see a custom Fallout 76.
Ooh, yes. There you go.
Yes, that's an obvious one that I totally didn't think about.
The Indie Gamer wants to know if Titanfall 3 is in production.
I believe it is, isn't it?
That was part of those like when they shut down.
Part of EA's fiscals was announced in Titanfall 3.
Well, also some of the information when they bought Respawn, it did come out that part of the contract was that Titanfall 3 would be coming and that they were working on it, that alongside that Star Wars game. So yeah, Titanfall 3 probably come in 2020. I don't know. Like, you think? Well, maybe I don't know. Maybe it's taking a backseat a little bit, but yeah, I think we know for sure that Titanfall 3 is coming. Frummies asks, how many paying people do you think are actually on Game Pass? Millions?
Yeah, it's definitely in the millions. How many millions? Does anyone guess?
I think it's in the millions.
The low millions. Do you think it's like around 5 million?
I couldn't even begin to guess. Definitely in the millions, and that could stretch anywhere from 1 million to 10 million. I don't think it's in double digits yet. Because I think if they were at 10 million, I think Microsoft would say something. Because that would be like, we got 10 million subs to Game Pass. That'd be an important announcement. So I think it's below 10, above 1. I know that's a big range, guys, but like, who knows what? Yeah, I mean, it could be 3 million. I don't know, but Sam Tolbert, the guy that you need to steal from Tick, does.
Oh yeah.
He wants to know, since Playground Games has 2 studios, do you see Microsoft's other studios expanding to multiple locations? I know 343 Industries, the Coalition, and Rare are hiring plenty of new staff.
Well, the thing about Rare is Rare has loads of empty land. They could easily just build more stuff in Rare's Twycross base. But doesn't Rare already have 2 studios?
Do they?
I think they do. Don't they have Rare, or maybe they closed one? I'm sure Rare used to have like a second base somewhere. Rare Studio Liverpool.
Huh.
So Rare already has two. Is that no? That's a different company altogether. Maybe I'm just imagining things here.
I mean, 343i, they just have one studio, right?
343 do, yeah.
And the Coalition just has one.
Yeah, I want to say yeah. Yeah, they do.
I don't really see them expanding to multiple locations now. Maybe potentially in the future as they grow.
Well, when I went to Rare, they were pretty jam packed. You know, they had like 3 developmental barns, they called them, which are basically these big barns, and then connected by a big tunnel, and loads and loads of flat space. They could like easily expand that with more buildings, but I don't know if they want to have two locations, because they kind of all need to work together. Their studio is set up for continuous delivery, which is like a development strategy where every studio sort of like commits code to the main branch and then they merge it all together, and they're constantly working on the game to improve it. That's why like bugs get introduced so often in Sea of Thieves, I think. But they're refining their processes, so I don't think adding a second studio to Rare would necessarily be logical for them. They all need to be in the same place if they're all working on Sea of Thieves, that is.
Right.
I think some people want them to work on Banjo or something though.
There were talks that they were already working on a new IP.
I don't think so.
Like in secret, like they took a team and they're because what are they up? They're over 200 people, right?
Yeah, I don't believe that.
You don't think they're working on something new? I wouldn't be surprised if they had like 20 people prototyping something.
Maybe they do, but you know, there's not a significant amount of work going on. That whole studio, I've been there. I walked through the whole studio.
Yeah, I remember you felt lied to after you came back and Sea of Thieves was what?
I never said that.
Yeah, you did.
I didn't say lied to.
You hyped yourself up or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Well, they do. They that expansion or not expansion. Curse Sales comes out July 31st, 11 days.
Yeah.
Timothy Dixon, would you rather Microsoft cancel Crackdown 3 and pick up Alan Wake or Quantum Break 2? Absolutely. Cancel Crackdown 3 today if I can get me an Alan Wake 2.
I'd agree on that. If that was the condition, do it.
If that was the condition, yes. Like cancel Crackdown 3, give me Alan Wake 2 or Quantum Break 2. It'll be a better game for sure. It's a game, well, at least I would want. Does anybody even want Crackdown 3 anymore, Jess? Serious question.
Crackdown fans.
Well, are there
I've never played a Crackdown. Crackdown 3 was the first Crackdown I played.
Any games? God.
Huh?
I was just saying, like, you haven't played this, you haven't played Hellblade, you haven't played What Remains of Edith Finch. Every single game that I tell you need to play, you never play.
It's because I've got 200 hours of Monster Hunter. And
why?
I've got over a year played in World of Warcraft.
Why?
I don't know. I've got a problem, man. A lot of those 360 games like Crackdown, which I missed out on, are because of World of Warcraft. But I always made time for Gears. I always made time for Halo. And that's it.
DI Almighty Spartan God, he wants me to answer his question. And someone thought I was offended by that question. Like, look, you know exactly what I think about Microsoft and MPD. I don't think they'll sell or win the rest of the year. I think the only one they have a chance of winning is November and December if they do price cuts. I've said that before, and I know he knows I've said that, which is why I said he was trolling, because I've said that in plenty of my videos. But let's see. Let's take one more question. Look for a good one here. Okay, Loon Smile. Rand, how long do you predict Rare will continue to make content for Sea of Thieves? 5 years or more? There you go, Jazz. How long is Rare going to make content for Sea of Thieves for?
Well, Joe Neath's been on the record to say he could spend the rest of his career working on Sea of Thieves.
True, he did say that, but I mean, realistically,
as long as people are playing, man. I mean, that's what they always said about World of Warcraft. Like during Mr. Pandaria and Warlords of Draenor, the player base of WoW dropped so low, like they dropped so low that Activision stopped reporting the numbers, and Blizzard Raw is just like, as long as there's some people playing it and as long as it's still profitable, we'll keep making it. You know, and ultimately it matters about money. As long as Sea of Thieves is driving people to resubscribe to Game Pass, they'll keep making content for it. I think.
Yeah.
So, and in World of Warcraft dropped Legion and pretty much went back up over 10 million players. Really, really great expansion. It's the first time a WoW expansion has been really smooth throughout the whole thing without anyone whining, pretty much.
Yeah, I see there's a couple people here. Glingy Venom wants to know if I'm going to make a video on the Xbox Summer Sale. You're like the third or fourth person that's asked me that. So I guess I'll make a video tomorrow about what's good in this Xbox Ultimate Sale for the summer. But yeah, any other question you want to answer, Jazz, or you want to get on out? Get on out.
Let's have a look. When is Diablo 4 coming, DJ Singh says? BlizzCon, hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
I really want to go to BlizzCon so much, but it's like in California and stuff. You don't live near California, do you, Ron?
No, dude, I do not. I live in the middle of the United States, basically.
I want to go to BlizzCon, man. So bad. Really bad. But I hope we see Diablo 4 at BlizzCon this year. It's time.
Ooh.
It's time.
Here's an interesting question from Black Eyes 12. Does a game launch define the game forever? Or can the devs redeem themselves to the masses through updates? Will the game always be looked as bad? What can be done to change perception?
Now, it's interesting that we're talking about MMOs here because there is one game that come to mind instantaneously there, and that's Final Fantasy XIV. When Final Fantasy XIV launched, it was a travesty. It was this terrible game that was, there's so much stuff wrong with it. It was like a shallow WoW clone. Everyone hated it. And then Square Enix, they went away. They took it back to the drawing board. And then they were like, okay, we screwed it up. And then they released it again as Final Fantasy XIV Realm Reborn. And now it's like the second biggest subscription-based MMO behind WoW. It's like, well, obviously something's got to be second biggest, but it's doing really well, is what I'm saying. So Final Fantasy XIV is living proof that a game can be turned around with enough investment, which is why it makes me mad that they abandoned Mass Effect Andromeda, Ran.
I mean,
EA could afford to fix that game. I hate them.
Like, of course, like there's one game that comes to mind about a game that was kind of dumped on at launch, but is now one of the pillars of, you could say, hero shooters and multiplayer this gen, and that's Rainbow Six Siege. Rainbow Six Siege is a game that came out in December of 2015 and got mediocre reviews. People didn't like it, but they stuck with it, Ubisoft that is, and you could argue that they did the same thing for For Honor and Ghost Recon, and now, like, when you think Rainbow Six Siege is one of the biggest games out there, and the negativity around that game in the beginning was pretty high, but they eventually turned it around. Like, it's kind of amazing because most games don't get that chance. I mean, could Sea of Thieves have that same thing happen to it a year from now? Maybe. But I think people, I don't know, like, I think people just... Rainbow Six Siege was also a game from a fabled franchise, right? Whereas I think they wanted to see Rainbow become popular again. I'm not really sure there's a lot of people willing to give Sea of Thieves a second chance, besides, like, fans of the game who are playing it already. But, I mean, there's other examples.
I don't know, man. H1Z1. I mean... They could pivot. One way they can achieve this is to pivot the business model, make it free to play. Then you get in loads of people who maybe never played the game before and never heard of it. So, like, maybe like Sea of Thieves has alienated the core crowd, which buys games outright. But what if, like, in a year or so, they re-release it with a new business model, like purchasable cosmetic items like the pet stuff, which they announced before, and release it as a free-to-play model? They get a completely new audience, and then the game grows again from there. I think they can easily do something to get Sea of Thieves back into the mainstream consciousness. There's a very passionate core community there, but still, the game for me just lacks compelling reason to play. It's a game for people who are social butterflies. I find I ain't a social butterfly, Ron. A social butterfly, man. The people who enjoy Sea of Thieves the most are the people who get on the comms, they talk to strangers, which just terrifies me. And they make their own fun in this sort of social sandbox world, which is why like millions of people play that VR chat thing, where there's literally nothing to do in the game in VR chat except talk to randoms.
All right, so here's the last question. It's from a super chat by Face. He wants to know, will Jez buy a PlayStation 5 if it has back compat?
It depends how back compat we're talking here. If it has PS4 back compat, then great. If it has PS3 and PS2 back compat, even better. And to be fair, like Sony has already done a pretty good job of remastering some of their biggest classics. And some of those older games, PS2 and PS3, there's licensing issues attached to them and stuff like that. I do want to get a PlayStation. There are loads of games I want to play on PlayStation, but the PS4 Pro is just too damn big, Rand. It's like,
well, maybe Sony's
going to block, man.
But maybe Sony's going to do a PS4 Pro Slim.
Do you remember how small the PS2 got back in the day?
I remember how small it was. Yeah,
it was like an iPad. You can fit that. You can fit that in your cargo pants, man.
So what you're saying is, if Sony releases a PS4 Pro Slim, you'll be all over it.
Maybe.
You'll be all over it. There's some great games to play on PlayStation.
I'm gonna put a picture of my desk I'm going to put a picture of my room on Twitter because people laugh at me when I say I don't have space for a PlayStation. Literally, I've got 2 monitors and my Surface Book and my Xbox all crammed on this tiny desk. That is my only space in the whole house. I could get a PlayStation, but I'd have to put it on the floor.
Yeah, well, why not? What's wrong with the floor?
It'll get dust, man.
It's gonna get dust no matter where it's at.
It'll get covered in spaghetti or alcohol or something. I ain't putting a PlayStation on the floor.
I don't have room. My PlayStation's on the floor.
Seriously?
I don't have room on like where my TV.
You put your PlayStation on the floor?
Yes. Like
you're a bad person.
I mean, I don't have any other space for it right now. Like my 45-inch TV sits on top of this thing, and right next to it is my Xbox One X and like the the extended storage, and my Nintendo Switch sits behind the TV. But that's like all the space I have currently right now. So the only space for the PlayStation 4 Pro is on the floor, which I put on the floor. And yes, it gets very dusty.
The floor is.
It doesn't matter. Nothing. I wanted the PlayStation, so
I can't do things on the floor. That's just.
I mean, ridiculous. You do you, but like I'm just saying, my PlayStation's on the floor, and it's not because I'm disrespecting the PlayStation. It's because I don't have any room.
He's disrespecting the PlayStation, guys.
No,
send him angry messages on Twitter. Tell NeoGaf Rand disrespect.
Yeah, nobody goes to NeoGaf anymore. Come on now, it's a dead website, just like just like the Culling 2. No, it's on the floor. It's on the floor. I mean, clearly, I need to buy.
No console on the floor, man.
I need to buy a bigger entertainment center so I can fit everything in there, but I currently don't have one. So I want a PlayStation. There are some great games, and it sits on the floor. It's just a piece of hardware. It doesn't have feelings. It's not crying out at night.
It's not about that. It's about clutter. You don't put things on the floor. The floor is for nothing.
The floor. I mean,
the floor is for feet.
The floor is for feet. Okay, but if I didn't put it on the floor, I wouldn't be able to have it.
Oh man.
Decisions. Look, God of War is going to be great whether it sits on a desk, the PlayStation sits on a desk, or in an entertainment center or on the floor. The system don't care where it is, Jez.
Well, I care, and I don't like having a cluttered life, man. My desk is zen. Feng Shui. Have you heard of Feng Shui?
No, I have not.
Feng Shui. Look it up. It is the philosophy of arranging furniture in such a way that it promotes spiritual wellness.
The floor is not carpeted. The floor is tile.
My floor is wood.
Well, mine's not wood. It's tile.
Well, at least, yeah. I don't know.
And look, I clean the PlayStation once a week. I knock all the little dusties off of it, because it does get dusty down there. And maybe it's a little lonely. It sees its Nintendo Switch and Xbox One X brothers up top next to the TV, and maybe he wants that same place.
Is that so? And that's not because you're disrespecting the PlayStation.
No, I don't. I'm not disrespecting the PlayStation.
So
I'm not. Look,
put the Xbox on the desk.
When did I
PlayStation on the floor with your feet?
When did I ever say that the PlayStation belongs on the floor? Well, never. I've never said that.
Some people might assume that's what you're saying.
No, I'm saying the only space that was left for the PlayStation was the floor.
Okay.
Look, I am thinking about getting a bigger entertainment center so I can fit everything there. But currently, the only way to play, God of War and Detroit Become Human and Uncharted and all that stuff was putting the system on the floor.
That's another reason I can't get a PlayStation. I don't have enough HDMI ports in my TV.
Oh,
I could get a splitter.
Somebody would say that you're just coming up with more excuses not to get one.
If someone wants to donate me one, sure, man.
Ooh, there you go.
Donate me 1 rand. You're the rich YouTuber, man.
Like me? Rich?
PewDiePie up in here.
Face says I need to get a spacer so I can put my Xbox on top of the PS4. No, I'm not putting hardware on top of hardware. I mean, I guess I could. I do have the Xbox One X on a stand, so it is.
You want to see my brother's room, right? I'll see if I can get a picture of my brother's room. He's got his Nintendo 360, and then on top of that, he's got the Wii U, and then on top of that, he's got the original Wii, vertical. It's like a tower of consoles.
I know. I already can see some of the comments and some of the things. You put your system on the floor. You would never put the Xbox on the floor, would you?
I bet you use the PlayStation as a doorstop.
No, of course not.
You heard it here first, guys. Randall doorstop. Oh god. I swear, Rand. If we create something out of this, I'm gonna lose faith in humanity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe I should get a vertical stand for the Pro because it might be possible to stick it up right next to the X on a vertical stand.
I didn't think of that.
Yeah, because I have
put it up vertically.
Because there's still not a lot of space. It'd be literally on the edge. I have my X vertical, and some people, whoa, vertical, Rand, whoa. What about discs? And I'm like, bro, I'm 100% digital. I own no discs. Everything. I tell you,
the person who wants me to get a PlayStation more than anyone is my girlfriend, because she really wants SingStar, that singing game, which is a PlayStation exclusive. Because the singing games on Xbox suck. So there you go. There's another win for PlayStation right there. Better singing games.
Maybe I'll get a. Does a Pro come with the stand? I think it does. I've seen promo shots of it standing up. I don't know, but that thing is pretty huge. I don't even know if it have enough room. I'm just gonna I'll just when I get another entertainment center. When I get a bigger TV, then everything will be where it should be. But right now, I needed to play the PlayStation. There's games there I want to enjoy on it, and unfortunately, I just don't have the space, so it sits on the floor.
I tell you another reason why PlayStation annoys me. I installed PlayStation Now on my PC the other day around. And I sat there for half an hour trying to create a PSN ID. Every single one of my usernames is taken. So I can't get a PlayStation because I can't get the PSN ID that I want.
Well, I mean, when I made my PSN ID, someone had my gamer tag. There's a bunch of Randall Thors on there. I had to make a new one, kind of.
I don't want to be called Jez XX 2018.
Yeah.
Dude. My brand, bro.
Well,
I can't have my brand.
This kind of turned into a weird segment. We were supposed to end the show. We're talking about electronics sitting on the floor. You know what belongs on the floor? The Zune.
The Zune?
Or the Windows Phone. Discontinued Microsoft products.
You're a bad man.
You know what else deserves to be on the floor? Not necessarily the floor, but the garbage. The Xbox. Dun, dun, dun.
Wow.
Xbox belongs in the. Someone actually said that in chat. Xbox belongs in the garbage.
Oh God. Jez, what was the family response to your brother being #1 for panty views in Nier Automata?
Yeah, you did say you were gonna like expose them.
Okay, so I sent that to one of my siblings, another one of my siblings, and it was pretty much all caps LMAO. And then my brother, who was the culprit, he said that. Now this is his excuse, right? He said that the reason he had so many panty views in Nier Automata was because he was going for the achievement, but the first time he tried it, it bugged, so he had to do it twice.
Ah, yes, the good old blaming it on the achievement not unlocking. So I had to look at her panties even some more.
I mean, I could check on Xbox Live right now to see if he's done it anymore since then. Because if he has, then that excuse was a lie. It was a lie, Ran. So let's have a look. Let's have a look right now. I'm gonna go to my Chivos. I'm gonna go to
Nier Automata. What a game! What a great game.
I still haven't finished my first playthrough.
So good, such a good game.
You know what isn't a good game?
What?
The Xbox app for Windows 10. It's really slow.
Yeah, you think they get that thing working, right? Considering the focus on PC.
Well, apparently there is some focus coming to that soon. To be fair, he hasn't looked again since the whole incident, but he's still #1.
Hey man, he just wanted to see 2B's butt. Well, can you blame him?
I wonder if there's a global leaderboard for that, man.
I don't think they do global. I think you can only see like your friends. Maybe there's a global leaderboard at Microsoft. I don't know. But either way, I think that's a good way to end the show talking about 2B's panties and Jez's pervy brother.
Hey, he said it was a broke achievement, man.
Yeah. I'm sure. Excuses. So, Jez, if you guys want to follow Jez on Twitter, make sure you do so. Link is in the description, so you can kind of, you can basically just, take a screenshot of Jez's tweets and then come and try to get him fired 5 years from now. When he gets a better job at like Xbox or PlayStation, actually, you probably go to work for Nintendo. Jez, what do you got going on for the rest of the week?
What have we got going for the rest of the week? Nothing much. I'm just same old work. Nothing exciting. I'm going to be playing 2 Point Hospital's preview build this weekend. So if you're interested in Theme Hospital's successor, 2 Point Hospital, if you like management games like me, check out for a preview next week. Other than that, just going to be playing more Pokemon on my sweet Nintendo DS, man.
Nice.
The best Nintendo console available right now.
Nice. And as for me, I always put out new videos as often as I can. I'm getting better. For a while there, I took a vacation. It was a little bit harder getting back into the flow of things, but I've been releasing videos at a steady pace the last couple days, and I'm going to continue to do that because I actually really enjoy making videos. But if you enjoyed this podcast, if you're still here, I know there's 233 of you left, still here for the end of the show. Make sure you give it a thumbs up because it really, really does help out. And I ain't kidding around when I say that. Subscribe if this was your first time here. How's it going? I'm Randall Thor 19. Hit the notification bell if you always want to be notified because YouTube can be pretty shitty when it comes to notifying people about the show. Share this out on Twitter. Thank you guys so much for being here live on YouTube. And I want to thank everybody checking it out later on SoundCloud, iTunes, and Google Play. You guys are awesome. Thank you guys for supporting us. And we'll be back on Thursday, hopefully next week. Hopefully neither me or Jez are sick because that's the new day of the show. And have a good one, guys. And have a great week.
Bye.